Welcome to Kermode Uncut, where it's time once again for TV Movie of the Week. Every week on the Kermode Mayo Film Show on Radio 5 Live, we pick a TV Movie of the Week, and here on the Kermode Uncut blog, we discuss it in some depth. This week, my choice of the film, which you may well have seen, you need to see it again. Thursday, Film 4, Let the Right One In. Based on a novel by John Ajvide Lindqvist, which itself takes its title from a lyric by Morrissey, Let the Right One In is a story about children which just happens to involve vampires. This is important because later on the film was remade in Hollywood as Let Me In, a film about vampires which just happens to involve children. At the heart of Let the Right One In is a young boy living in Stockholm, isolated, cut off, unable to make friends until he meets a young girl who tells him enigmatically that she has been a young girl for a very long time. As the secrets of her past become clear, the story appears to unfold in a supernatural direction, but at the heart of it is something very natural. This is not, in the end, a movie about unreal monsters. It's a story about very real childhood rage. In fact, Thomas Alfredson, the director, described it by saying that Let the Right One In is very much about the anger that this tormented boy is carrying. He's not able to do anything with it. He can't talk to his parents because he's shy, he's afraid of them interfering, he can't talk to his teachers, and he has no friends. So for him, the vampire in the story is the body of all this anger. I had similar experiences as a boy, and that moved me when I read the book, the feeling of wanting revenge without having the ability to get it. Alfredson went on to direct Tinker Tailor Soldier Spy, which many people recognise as being one of the very best films of the year, boasting standout performances from the likes of Gary Oldman. But the roots of that movie are absolutely in Let the Right One In. It is a film which is not about vampires in exactly the same way that Tinker Tailor Soldier Spy is not about spying. Of course, one of the really interesting things about Let the Right One In is that Swedish movies did not have a vampire tradition from which it drew. In fact, when I interviewed Alfredson, he said, to the best of my knowledge, there aren't any other Swedish vampire movies except for some comedies, some goofy spoofs. Other than that, he was starting from the ground up. Now, obviously, there are certain key ways in which the film diverges from the novel. At one point in the film, we see a scar on the body of one of the characters that alludes to a subplot in the novel about gender change. It's not there in the film, but it's hinted at. I remember really clearly the first time I saw Let the Right One In. I thought it was an extraordinary evocation of the angst and the isolation of adolescence, so much so that I was moved to tears on several occasions. Later on, I met Alfredson and told him, and he said, well, you're not alone. And he told me a lovely story about somebody coming up to him in the streets of Stockholm sometime after the film had first been released and saying, I don't like horror movies, I'm not interested in vampires, I don't like scary movies, but I saw your film. And it made me cry because it reminded me of just how difficult it was to be a teenager. For me, that's what the film is about. Sadly, the English language remake is a completely different beast. Now, more people have seen Let Me In than Let the Right One In. And this, showing on Channel 4, is a chance for you to put that right. Watch Let the Right One In and let me know, is it as great as I think it is? And if you've seen Let Me In, am I wrong? Is it as bad as I think it is?